record here. Okay. Hello, guys. Hello, everyone. Guys, if you can, please turn on your cameras to see your faces. Yeah, you already have your camera on, Daniel. Thank you so much. Fede, Nico, gracias. Thank you so much for joining this session. I'm recording. Yes, I'm recording. Okay, so guys, today we have a special session with Maxi. Maxi is the LATAM Growth Manager at Notion, and he is here to share with us a demo of use cases of Notion. And you have to know, guys, that Notion is a perk at Startup Chile. You have benefits for being suppers with Notion. So maybe all you can learn now, you can apply that to your teams with Notion. And aside of the use cases, we of course are going to have a Q&A session at the end of the presentation. And I'm going to ask you to keep your microphones closed during the demo. And if you have questions, you can send it in the chat box. So after the demo, we can have the open mics and we can read the questions, okay? So, Maxi, the microphone
Great.
is all yours. Thank you
Thank
for
you
being
so much.
here.
Thank you so much, Teresa. Excellent intro. Hi everyone. Nice to meet you all. I'm Maxi. I'm from Argentina. Soy argentino. Así que I could do this demo in Spanish, but I know that there's some of you guys that speak in English, so I'm going to give it in English. And then at the end, we're going to leave a space for Q&A, questions and answers. That's going to be a hybrid. Some questions in Spanish, some questions in English, whatever you all prefer. But thank you all for being here. This is a more or less 1 hour demo. I'm going to teach you and show you how to use this tool called Notion to create and scale startups. I know that many of you are founders or early employees at like early stage companies, and then would love to hear a little bit more about yourselves. And I know that some of you know what Notion is and perhaps have been using it for a little while. And some of you may be newer to Notion or in fact may never have used Notion at all. So I'm going to spend some time explaining the basics. So I'm going to leave a little gift for you all at the end of the presentation inside of this toggle, but I'm not going to show it to you now. I'm going to show it to you at the end of the presentation. So in about 20 or 25 minutes. So hope you bear with me. Hope you don't fall asleep. Feel free to ask questions in the chat. We're going to leave a space for questions at the end. So a little bit about myself. I'm Maxi. I've been working at Notion for the past 3 years, doing all things growth marketing, most currently focused on growing our presence in Latin America, particularly for startups. Before that, I did my MBA at MIT Sloan, and before that, I was a management consultant for about 3 years in Argentina mainly, but in different countries in Latin America. I had 2 startups, a fashion watch company, an e-commerce brand, and a pizza catering service back in Argentina in my early 20s. Both of them failed to some extent, but it was a very interesting learning experience. And I wish I had known about Notion at the time. I think we would have been much better organized and perhaps would have had better results. And before that, I studied at the Technological Institute of Buenos Aires, IPA. And one of the things that I love the most is actually building in Notion. And I hope to teach you all a little bit about that today. So as I said before, these are the contents of the workshop. First, I'll spend a few minutes covering Notion's building blocks, like basic blocks. What is Notion? What are the things that you can do in Notion? Then we'll jump into the demo of Startup OS, which is a kind of like a pre-built template of your operating system to create and scale a startup by using Notion, covering different aspects like homepage, wikis, how to navigate in Notion, what are the core set of databases that we use to do all of our work, something that I call Leader OS, which is a private page that a CEO or founder can have to kind of like manage your Notion workspace from one place. And then we'll look at a very interesting particular use case that might be very relevant for you all, which is a fundraising tracker, a sort of CRM. And then at the end, as Teresa said, and myself, we're going to leave some space for questions and for answers. Now, great. To actually start the demo, I'm going to demo one of our newest features that Notion released. In fact, I think it was last week or the week before, which is something called meeting notes or automatic meeting notes or transcripts. And I see that some of you actually have here in the Zoom some sort of like AI meeting note taker or something like that. Well, Notion now has its own, and it's actually very good. So I'm going to demo it to you all. This is a page that lives within my meeting notes database. And I have these AI meeting notes. I'm going to confirm consent. I'm going to make sure that the setting is set to English. I could also set it in other language. Like maybe I want to speak in English, but I want the notes to be taken in Spanish, and I could do that as well. But for the purpose of this demo, I'm going to do it in English. I'm going to confirm consent. And now Notion AI is going to start transcribing everything I say for the next couple of minutes. And by the end, I'm going to press stop, and we'll have a summary of the full transcript and a summary of everything that was said. And this lives right inside of Notion, right? You don't need to have another tool, an independent tool that requires an integration. So it's very, very helpful. Good, I'm going to close this page for a while, and we're going to start the demo. I'm going to walk you through Notion's building blocks. So you can think of Notion as a set of Lego blocks that have different shapes and colors and sizes that can then come together to form these beautiful sets: cities, houses, cars, animals, etc., that you can think of as like startup templates or use cases or workflows where you actually do your work. But they're all built with these little like Lego-like blocks. And by pressing the slash tab on your computer, you get a full menu of all of Notion's building blocks: text, headings, bulleted lists, callouts, quotes, etc., a lot of things. And I'm going to walk you through some of them. You can have text, you can format it, you can color it, you can make it nice. There's 3 types of headers: bulleted lists, toggles, to-do lists. And then these are callouts, which make your page much richer and nicer, and you can direct focus to some specific information. You can insert all of the other block types inside a callout. And then this is a quote, which you can use if you have a customer quote or a user quote or something like that. And then there's other more sophisticated blocks like embeds to make the page more richer and more visual. And you can also, of course, comment, right? This is a collaborative workspace, so I can comment on this. And these are the embeds that we have. You can embed images, you can embed videos from YouTube or other video sources, code embeds, files, like in this case, like an Excel file, and bookmarks, and many other types of embeds to make a page richer and more visual. And then we have tables. This is a simple table, which is helpful to visualize information in a table format, typically useful for comparisons. If you're comparing Notion versus other tool, or measuring pros and cons, or something like that. This doesn't have computing power like a spreadsheet does, but for that, we have one of Notion's more powerful building blocks, which are databases. And this is a database, right? Basically, think of this as like a Google Sheet or an Excel or maybe even an Airtable. You have rows, and then you have columns, which we call properties, right? And we have different types of properties: categories, dates, numbers, status, checkbox. And here you have a menu of all of the types of properties that Notion databases supports. And there's 2 interesting things about this. One is the views, right? You can toggle different types of views for the same information. You can have the table view, you can have a list view, which is a little bit more simplified and cleaner. You can have a board view if you want to see the information grouped by a particular category, in this case by status, and you can move the pages around. By timeline as well, if these things have a time dimension, you can look at it in a timeline view. And then also, we recently shipped charts, where you can visualize your information in charts: bar charts, donut charts, etc., etc. So back to this. And then the second very cool thing about Notion databases is that each row, is its own page, right? Which you can open it up and you can add much more information, and you can add titles, you can add bullet points, you can add toggles, etc., 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 right? So you can give much more information to each particular row. Imagine this row is like a customer, it's a project, it's a meeting note, it's whatever. A lot of information can live inside the page. Good. So to wrap up, think of these things that I just showed you as Lego blocks. And now I'm going to show you how these blocks come together as Lego sets to build different use cases or templates for your startups. And it's very important to note that you can use these for you personally, but also to collaborate with your team. Notion is a tool that you can use for yourself, for your personal notes, your projects, etc. But it's a great team to collaborate with your team, with your startup, with your large company, whatever it is. Yeah, excellent. Before we jump into the actual Notion startup operating system, I'm going to take a sip of water. Good. Let me just quickly check. So far, so good. Audio okay, visuals okay. Give me a quick thumbs up. No one fell asleep yet. Okay, cool. Yeah, I can see some faces. Nice. Good. So welcome to Startup OS. And OS is for operating system. And this is something that I built, and like many other people at Notion know how to build. And you guys can build yourselves, and you guys probably have one. But this is basically a Notion workspace for a startup, in this case, a 9-person startup that is building a digital product and trying to grow, trying to raise money, trying to find product market fit, and trying to build a great and beautiful product. So let's start with this first page, which is the home page, or we also call it a wiki, where you have the most important information of the team of the startup, right? And in this case, I chose to display it in this format, but you can make it your own. You can drag and drop titles from here. You can add different databases. You can move things around. It's pretty simple, but I built it this way. So here on the left, I have some of the most important pages with company information, mission and vision, social media, navigating in Notion, etc. And here on the right, you can see we have our 3 main objectives that we have as a startup, which is to grow our revenue, to improve product performance, and to be a great place to work for our employees. I'm going to talk about objectives a little bit more later. And then we have the team. We are 9 people strong and growing. And here you have like the team directory. And again, there's different views. You can look at it in gallery, in table view, etc., etc. And again, because this is a wiki, there's a very cool feature that you can look at this in different formats, as we saw before, and you can look at this as a table. And a very important feature that Notion has is page verification, right? So let's say that these are the most important pages for the company documentation, our policies, our guidelines, our product ideas, etc. And each page has an owner, and each owner can verify the information of that page. In this case, I'm going to walk you through the startup core databases. And because I'm the owner of that page, I can verify that information for a set amount of days. So I'm going to verify this for 90 days, right? But if I'm not the owner of a page, let's say my CTO, she handles engineering, she has verified this page, but I'm not able to verify it, right? Only the owner of the page can click into verification and verify the page. And I think this is particularly important in these days of AI, where it's very easy to create and generate a lot of information. It's important to know what's up to date and what's verified. Good. So back to this home view. And next, I'm going to walk you all through how to navigate in Notion. Think of Notion as like a digital canvas with many pages and databases and pages inside pages. And sometimes it can get a little bit complex, and there can be many, many pages and a lot of content. So there's 2 main ways with which you can navigate all of this content in Notion. One is through the sidebar here on the left-hand side. I'm going to walk you through this now. And then 2 is through search. Basically, by pressing Command or Control K on your keyboard, it opens up this searcher where you can look at like the, I don't know, marketing campaign or the New Year campaign or whatever it is, and you can search for a particular page. So let's talk about the sidebar. The sidebar shows the structure of your Notion workspace. So ideally, it's very clean, it's very well organized and very structured, and you can kind of like understand the company operations and the main databases at one glance. And you have 2 kinds of pages, right? You have pages that are public and are accessible by everyone in our team, everyone who has access to Notion in our startup. And then you can have your private pages where you, as a founder or an early employee or an employee or whatever it is, you can have your own pages that you don't necessarily want to collaborate with the rest of the team. So these are some of the most important pages that I'm going to walk you through. But before that, let me tell you a little bit about search. So again, access search by pressing Command K if you're on a Mac or Control K if you're on a Windows computer. And you can search for a particular page, or you can ask Notion AI a particular question. And here you can think of Notion AI as like Google or ChatGPT or Claude, but directly inside your Notion workspace. So it can access all of your team's information that lives in Notion and has all of the relevant information to answer questions. It also has access to the models, like the latest OpenAI models and the Anthropic models as well, so you can ask it questions as well. But let's say that I want to ask it, what is the marketing team working on? And again, it opens up this interface and it basically searches all of the Notion workspace and it can give me an updated answer of what the team is working on. And it links out the particular pages within Notion that show these things, right? And I can continue to ask a question like, who leads the marketing team at Startup OS? Exactly. Yeah, Julian is our head of marketing. That's correct, right? And imagine like you're a new employee or someone just on board, and you can ask it a bunch of questions and it can give you a bunch of answers. And the good thing is that you can also connect this. Let me move the Zoom thing here. You can connect this to all of your other sources of information. If you handle communication with Slack, or you have documents in Google Drive, or GitHub, or Microsoft Teams, etc., you can connect these to Notion, and Notion can search across all of these information sources as well, which is really cool. Nice. So back to our demo. Now I'm going to walk you through what I call our core databases, our central set of databases, where we do most of our work in the startup. And actually at Notion, which we are more than 1,000 employees right now, we actually use the same set of these core databases, plus a few other more that are maybe not relevant in this case. But it's interesting, right? You're a 9-person startup or a 5-person startup or a 1,000-person company, and they kind of like the basic units of work are largely the same. And I find that fascinating. So it's these 5 main ones. And to make it a little bit more interesting and engaging, I'm going to walk you through them. And in each one of those, I'm going to demo a particular Notion feature that is relevant to that particular use case. So let's start with OKRs. OKRs are objectives and key results, right? And here are our company objectives. So we have 2 databases. One is for key results, and then 2 is for objectives. And this is what I showed you before in the homepage, where we want to grow our revenue, improve product performance, and be a great place to work for our employees. And here I can keep track of each objective. Is it on track? What are the key results associated? What's the progress that has been made? Who are the team leads, et cetera, et cetera. And I want to explain to you the concept of relational databases. In this case, this database, objectives, and this other database, key results, are related, right? Because here I have, because of this arrow here, these are the key results from this database that are associated to each particular objective, right? And if I'm here, let's say that these 6 are the key results, and I know which objective they correspond to because it's linked to the other database. And this is a very useful feature, and you can use it for many other cases. Think of like, maybe you have your meeting notes and you have your CRM, your list of clients, and you have meeting notes with particular clients, so you can relate these two databases. Or maybe you have your projects and you have your tasks, and a lot of small tasks that take a few hours or a few days make up or compose a larger project, so you can relate those two databases as well. And that's very useful. And then here on the right, you can see Notion charts, which is basically a way to visualize the information that lives here, but in a chart format. Here we have our 3 objectives grouped by or shown by their status, whether they're on track or whether they're at risk. And here we have our 6 key results. And the height of these is the percentage completion of that particular key result. And you can build all sorts of dashboards and easy to consume and beautiful dashboards very easily directly inside Notion. Good. Our second core database is projects. And here are all of our company's projects, where they have their status, what team they correspond to, their priority, who's their owner, what's the progress. And of course, we're starting to see AI more and more. And you can use Notion AI to create new fields or new properties directly inside your database. So in this case, let's say I want to summarize each one of these projects because I don't want to click into each one of these. I just want to see a quick summary here. So I can come here and simply I've configured this field to be a summary of that particular project. And just by pressing this one button, kind of like by magic, boom, it's all out of field. And I can do this like automatically for all of the columns, but in this case, I've done it just for these. And let's say that we hire someone from another country that speaks another language, and maybe we want to translate these projects into other language. So we can come here, and we want an AI translation. And let's say I want to translate to Spanish. I'll try it out on this view. And let's see what's happening. Whoops, continue editing. Save changes, there it is. And here it is, AI translation, right, in Spanish. Build V1 of mobile app, construir V1 de la aplicación, oops, mobile, yeah, perfect. And there's many other AI use cases for AI autofill that you can think of. Now, the second thing that I want to show you in this projects database is the views, right? Here I have a table view of all of the projects, but I can also have a board view grouped by team and by status in this case. So I can look at like, hey, what's the design team working on? So they're planning this, they have these 2 things in progress, and they've done this. What about the marketing team? Okay, they're planning this is in progress, and this is done, right? And it's a really like easy way to consume information and visualize things at a glance. I can also see the projects in a timeline view with this thing called a Gantt chart, and I can filter by different team. In this case, the marketing team, this is the timeline and the sequence of things that they're working on. But I can also look at like, hey, what's the product management team doing? And again, they're building the roadmap, they're gonna launch the MVP next week, defining product metrics framework, defining the A/B testing framework, et cetera, et cetera. And then I can also filter by the projects that I work on, right? And you can use all these views and all these filters to create the views that are most relevant for you. After projects, we have tasks, which is basically pretty similar, but a task is a smaller or more granular unit of work, which typically takes up a few hours or maybe a few days. And many tasks compose a larger project. So this is where like relational databases comes in really handy, right? Let's say I have this project related field where I can map each one of these tasks to a particular project. For example, here we have conduct a targeted email outreach campaign that I know that this is related to the email project, right? And I can correlate each of these tasks to their own project, which is pretty interesting. And again, your AI automatic fields, your owners, your different types of properties, the same things that we've been seeing so far. And after tasks, we have documents, and these are really cool. And here I want to demonstrate to you 3 very cool features of Notion. 1 is AI Writer, 2 is Forms, which we have shipped recently, and 3 is Notion Sites. So let me jump in 1 second. First is AI Writer. Let's say that we want to do a marketing campaign. Let's say that we're approaching the end of the year and we want to launch a marketing campaign. So I did this to save myself some time, but I can come here and I can press the space bar. I'm going to actually open this up in a different tab. And I press the space bar and I access Notion AI, where Notion AI, I can ask it questions and it gives me answers, or I can ask it to generate and create content. So I'm going to ask it to write a 1-page document with a proposal for the upcoming New Year campaign with all of these components and to make the format nice. So here it is. And Notion AI automatically saves me many minutes, if not hours, by taking a first pass of this particular task, which is like, we want to build the marketing, the New Year campaign. And let me look through it. And it's actually makes a lot of sense, right? Then I have to actually go in, revise it, make sure that it makes sense, and then communicate it with the rest of the team and actually like make this into a real task or a real project. But it's actually a pretty good first version. And you can do this for many, many other use cases. So this is a Notion AI Writer. Then the second one is Forms. Notion now enables forms. Think of your Google form or your Airtables or your Typeform. Well, you don't need to use those anymore because forms now live in Notion. And I'm going to open up this. Let's say that I want to build a vacation request workflow. If I want the employees in our startup to say, hey, I'm going to be on vacation from this date to this date, and I want to collect everything in one place, one source of truth, I can create this form, which I've done already. What are the dates that you plan to take vacation? And all of the responses will be recorded here in your Notion database, right? The same databases that we've been seeing for several minutes now. And I can come here and I can preview. Let's say that I plan to take vacation next week. I'm going to take some paid time off because I'm very tired and I need a vacation. And I can link my coverage plan here. And I will submit. And the good thing about forms is that you can also, forms can be answered by people inside your company, within your Notion instance, or also people that are external to your company. If you want to use like a customer request, customer feedback request, or any type of external feedback, you can create a form for that. And here you can see that the response has been recorded here, which is pretty cool. Good. Now back to our document. And here's a third thing that I want to show you, which is Notion Sites. So I'm going to open this up in another tab. Let's say that hopefully we're doing really well and our team is growing and we're currently 9 people, but we want to grow our team because things are going really well. So we want to hire people, right? So I put together this page, which basically shows like why you should join our company, what are our values, what are the benefits and perks, and what are the open positions that we're actively hiring for, and the hiring process, et cetera, and a link to apply now. And let's say I want to publish this to the world. I want to make this accessible on LinkedIn, on Google, et cetera, et cetera. So I simply come up here to the top right, I press share, and I can press publish here. And I can even edit the URL. And I can do careers, save, whoops, jobs. Let's do the default thing. But again, it's published now already, and I can view the site. And let's close this for a second. And now this site is published for the world, right? I can see, like let's say that I'm someone who wants to apply to this company because it's really cool. And I can look at this page, but I cannot edit it. It's like your typical website, but built directly with Notion. And this is really cool. You can actually go into the databases, open up the pages, but I can't edit the content, which I think is really cool. And then you can unpublish it at any time. So let's go ahead and unpublish. Nice. And here you can keep track of all of your documents with all of these features that I've demoed in one place directly inside of Notion. So let's move to the fifth and last core database, which is meeting notes. And again, I'm going to take a second to drink some water. Again, this is another database, like all of the ones we've seen already, with their views and their filters and et cetera, et cetera. But I want to showcase to you a few features that Notion has, which are templates. Within each database, you can have different templates, right? And let's say we have a weekly stand-up with our meeting every Monday. And I can go ahead and create and edit this template where we'll do all of these things on Monday morning. And I can have this template be repeated automatically through an automation every week on Mondays at 10 a.m. So every Monday at 10 a.m., a new version of this template will be created, and that will be the meeting note page for that particular stand-up. And that's really cool. And then the second thing is, if you remember back to 20 or 25 minutes ago, we started this live demo of meeting notes. And I'm gonna open this up in another tab. And here it is, right? Remember that I started transcribing a few minutes ago. Here it is. I can press stop right now. And look at how Notion AI automatically generates a title, reads the full transcript of all of the things that I've been saying. And in this case, it was just myself, but maybe in other meetings, there's other people chiming in or asking questions, etc. And it's automatically building a summary. And remember that I walk you through Notion's building blocks. I walked you through an overview of Startup OS. I've been walking you through the core databases, the OKRs, the projects, the tasks, the documents, etc., which is really cool. And then you have the full transcript here. That's a lot of content. And remember, I could also have done this in another language. Let's say I wanted to have done this in Spanish or Portuguese. It could have been done in Spanish or Portuguese as well, and many other languages as well. So yeah, it's very cool. I'm gonna share this with you all after the meeting. So this is meeting notes. And I'm gonna jump into the final thing that I wanna demo for you all today before we jump into Q&A, which is this thing called Leader OS. And here we jump from the world of public pages into private pages, right? Leader OS is a private page that only myself, in this case, I'm the CEO and co-founder of this startup. And this is my own private hub where I like to keep track of my projects. So these are the projects that we saw before, but filtered for where the owner is me, and the documents filtered for where the owner is me. I have a quick glance of all of the things that I'm working on at any given time. And I also have this chart visualization of the projects, and I can filter it here. Let me see if I find this. Okay, cool. So I can remove this filter and I can see all of the projects from my startup grouped by status. And I can see the things that I'm working on. If I filter by owner equals me. So these are the projects that I've worked on this year, the ones that are done, the ones that are in progress, planning, etc., etc. And another really cool feature that Notion has are buttons. With these buttons, I can quickly create, like you can customize buttons for many things, but I like to use them for this use case, which is to very quickly create a new project. So if I press this button, Maxi new project, and this is created directly inside of our project database, the one that I showed you before. Or let's say I want to create a new task, Maxi new task. The same for tasks, the same for documents, Maxi's new PRD or document, right? Everything directly from like my dashboard or command center, if you will. And then I can have my own private documents, like I have a personal development and leadership plan to become a better leader and a better CEO and a better founder, and I can have it here. Yeah. And then last but not least, every startup, especially early stage, we want to raise money, and it's not always easy. So you can use Notion as your fundraising tracker and your CRM. Here you have a table list of all of the VCs and investors that we want to talk to or have talked to already with the information, how much money we're asking them, who's the partner name, the LinkedIn, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, with all of the amazing features that Notion databases and Notion AI has that I've shown you. And also I can see them by status. So I pitched these people. We've done a diligence for these people. We've won these deals, great, and we've lost this deal. But this is a pretty common use case for Notion among startups. So remember that I owed you a little present back to where we were at the beginning. And the good news is that you can start with 6 months free of Notion Business Plan, which is one of our best plans that includes all of the features that I've just demonstrated for your startup simply by applying here. And I'm gonna leave a link for that at the end of this demo and this presentation. But yeah, that was the demo of Startup OS. Thanks everyone for listening and for your time. And now I'm happy to open it up for questions.
Awesome. We already have some questions, Maxi.
Yes.
And it seems that the AI feature is the main topic for the entrepreneurs here. And Federico asked, the AI feature is not included in the paid version. Is it possible to have some credits to test the AI in Notion?
Yes, 100%. Like that's what I said before. We have a startup program, and actually Startup Chile is one of our partners, where if you're a startup within the Startup Chile network, you can apply. And if you meet the requirements that are actually fairly easy, I think you need to be less than 100 employees. And that's the only thing. Or you have not to have paid Notion in the past or something like that. You just apply, very easy. It's like an automatic application, fill out a form, we review it every like 3 or 4 days or something like that. And then you have 6 months free of Notion Business, which includes all of Notion AI, unlimited Notion AI for 6 months. And you can feel free and apply. And if you have any issue, like you can talk to Teresa or you can talk to me. I'm going to leave my contact information. But it's like Notion AI is really cool, and we really want our users to use Notion AI. So like that shouldn't be a blocker for you guys to start using Notion AI.
Great, awesome. And Daniel says, what does it require to have Notion AI? I mean, what is the cost? Well, I think we already covered that, the cost, but also would my team have a comprehensive training on the use of Notion AI features?
Good question. As for the cost, like we've recently changed our pricing structure, and Notion has a free plan, a plus plan, a business plan, and an enterprise plan. Enterprise is like for big companies, more than 1,000 employees or something like that. But the business plan, which costs about, I think, $20 per user per month, includes unlimited Notion AI. All of these features, writer, Q&A, integrations with other data sources, which we call enterprise search, autofill in databases, all of the good stuff. And that's included with unlimited AI on the business plan. And I think on the plus plan, there's some AI usage with some limits. I think you have a certain amount of queries or a certain amount of tokens that you can use. But on the business plan, it's unlimited. And the Notion for Startups program, of which Startup Chile is a partner, is offering 6 months free of Notion Business, which includes AI. And as for the training on the Notion AI features, there are 2 things, and I can offer a third one also. Like we have a really good guide. It's like think of it as like a set of like blog posts and videos that explain how to use Notion AI that I can include in the link that I'm going to share with you as well. We also have AI templates that indicate like maybe there's a pre-built template where you press a button and something AI happens. We also have that. And then there's a bunch of YouTube videos and like Notion power users and influencers and ambassadors and champions that create content in YouTube and other places and can teach you all how to use Notion AI. Hopefully I did a little bit of that myself today, and I'm also open for you to ask questions. And we have like a startups mailbox where if you have technical questions, you can ask us as well. But yeah, does that make sense?
Great,
Nice.
great. So any other question, guys, if you want to ask now? For example, if I had a Notion, if I was paying Notion, can I apply to this benefit with my previous account, or I have to create another one?
If you were a paying user, you cannot apply for this benefit. You have to create a new account. Yeah, that's like, we also have to make money in some way to survive as a company. And if someone is a paying user and has been a paying user for 12 months, like we can't allow that. That's the other restriction that we have. I think you have to have less than 100 employees and you need not to be on a currently paying plan.
Okay, so noted. And I don't know if you have questions, guys.
Yeah, feel free to like unmute, ask in English or in Spanish, like, whatever you want.
Because, for example, what core features do you recommend, Maxi, to early stage startups just getting started with Notion?
Good question. I think the most important ones are maybe like company wiki and documentation. Like, hey, this is the product we want to build. These are our building like requirements. This is our team. This is our mission and vision. All of that. So like we can call it wiki or company information. Then I would say the second one is meeting notes. Notes are cool, right? Like to build a startup, you need to meet with a bunch of people, with your teammates, with prospect employees, with investors, all of that. And there's many meetings a day, many meetings a week, and sometimes like you just forget, right? And you can track all of your meetings in one place, in one repository in Notion. Now with Notion AI, transcribing everything automatically and summarizing everything automatically and linking everything to the other parts of your work, your projects, your bugs that you need to fix, like whatever it is. And then I would say the third thing is like CRM or fundraising tracker, which is the thing that I demoed right there at the last. CRM stands for client relationship management. And maybe you have your, I don't know, your 10, 500, 1,000 customers, and you can keep track of all of your customers, your clients, your meeting notes with them, your deal sizes, your points of contact, all of that for your clients and for your investors with a fundraising tracker, and maybe even for your suppliers, depending on the type of business that you have as well.
Great. We have another question. You showed a lot of use cases, but is it realistic to run like the wiki, the project tracker, the CRM, all within the same workspace without getting messy?
It's 100% realistic, yes. And actually, like Tere can also attest to this question. I think it's important to have two things. Like, one is to have an understanding of the Notion best practices and how to set everything up in your Notion architecture with like a clean team space and sidebar and like architecture of units of work, that like, which is what I demonstrated to you just now. And then the second thing, which is a really good practice, is to have one person be kind of like your knowledge manager, or we call it informally your chief Notion officer, which can be, depending on the stage of the startup, the CEO, the founder, the COO, or the knowledge manager, or whatever it is. But it's one person whose job, or who part of their job, is to make sure that the Notion workspace setup and architecture is okay, is healthy, and things are not flying all over the place. There's some level of ownership and someone taking charge of like, hey, let's make sure that we use this tool and that we use it well, and that everyone is trained and that everyone knows how to use it.
Great. Do you offer like a team that can look into our Notion spaces or Notion sites, and maybe upgrade them, like with their expertise?
Sorry, can you repeat that? Are you asking about Notion sites in particular? I didn't hear that one.
No, in general. For example, I don't know, some specialists that can look into what we have built inside of Notion and maybe ask to improve. Because I know you have a lot of templates, but sometimes we need to customize more the things that we can do in Notion.
Yeah, the answer is yes. There are some Notion consultants, which are Notion experts and people that understand like Notion really well. And new users, I think, can have a free consultation with a Notion consultant of 30 minutes or something like that. And like have an introductory call, have the consultant look at your workspace, provide a recommendation, all of that, and then see if you want to like continue like a contract or paying them. So that, but sometimes with just 30 minutes, it's enough to like have a really customized and tailored opinion and recommendation based on your workspace. And that's it. I think we have that for new users. I think if you're a startup and if you sign up to Notion with our startup trial of 6 months for free or something like that, I think you receive an email. I'm pretty sure I need to check with my team, but like you receive an email that says like, hey, get started with a Notion consultant, book a call for free. And there's a whole Calendly thing where you can book a call and all of that. So that's for new users. If you're an existing user, there are Notion consultants and some of them are actually quite good. I know some of them. But you have to pay them typically, right? It's their business, and their business is to have a Notion consultancy, and some of them are actually are quite affordable. But I think there's a repository, notion.com/partners or /consultants or something like that, and there's a repository there. And for that, like I offer myself up not to like do personalized consulting for each one of your startup, but like feel free to ask me, and I can like connect you to some of our consultants, or maybe if the question is simple, I can even answer it myself, right? So I'm leaving you all. Teresa, I'm gonna send you all. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna send you all a quick, actually Notion public page with a 1-pager kind of like summary of this meeting and resources and like my contact information. So give me 1 second. I put it here in the Notion chat, and I think today if you send a follow-up email or something like that, or you can also include it there. But yeah, for technical questions like, hey, I applied to the program and I didn't get accepted within 1 day and all of that, we have a team, an operations team dedicated to that. So like there's a startups help at makenotion.com. But for any questions about how to use Notion, how to help us grow Notion in Latin America, if you have questions about language, Notion AI, etc., I'm happy to answer, happy to help.
Amazing. So this is the gift you prepared for us.
Yes, exclusively for Startup Chile. Yes, and there in that page there. Let me put it right now. Give me a sec. I want to make sure it's the right one. In that page that I just shared, if you open it up, and in fact, I'm gonna share a screen quickly. So it's a Notion public page, again, that I created and I shared externally, so you won't be able to edit the content, but you can look at it. You can press here and you can apply now, and it takes you to this landing page. And if you press apply now, you fill out this information, and automatically, boom, you're from Startup Chile, and this is the startup redemption code. You can submit, and we will probably accept you into a 6-month trial, right? Super easy. So yeah, there's that. And then there's 2 resources. One of them is a Notion guide for startups, which I think is really cool. It has some videos created by our academy team, which are really, really top notch. And then there's literally tens of thousands of startups. Like you can probably ask for a specific template, even if like, I don't know, I want to keep track of my flower tracker or something like that, or a flower shop or whatever it is, or my projects. We have a bunch of templates for that. So like, if you have a specific thing in mind of something that you want to create in Notion, there probably is a template for that. But I also invite you to create it yourself. If you're comfortable with Notion, like the process of creating it yourself also makes it more useful and easier to stick in the future. But yeah, this is the page I'm going to share with you. Here's my contact information.
Well, thank you so much, Maxi. It's very, very good to have all these resources at hand. So
Awesome.
Thank you so much. And we are going to keep in touch because I assume all of you are going to apply to redeem the credits, right, guys?
Excellent.
Okay.
Excellent.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you all. Happy Friday. Have a great weekend. And any questions, you can email me.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Awesome.